Zach here with Service Training, and in this video on the Symbio service and installation app, we're going to talk about using a settings file. So to get there, we're going to jump over to the settings tab, and then before we go into creating one, let's just talk about what it is real quick. So in this settings tab, this is where you've got all of your various unit settings. So things like arbitration method, emergency override. We've got some set point limits in here. We've got all kinds of settings that we adjust and typically set up for how we want the unit to operate. So once we get this all done and get it all set up, we can actually create a file that's going to save those for us, and it'll save it right onto our mobile device. So we could use this if we had to restore a controller because whatever reason, maybe we had to replace one, or maybe we've just got multiple units on a site, and instead of going through here and doing every single unit and individually down the list here, we could just use this file and we could load it up into the controller and maybe help speed up our commissioning setup process just a little bit. So let's go ahead and get one created. So we're going to go ahead and go into Manage Settings, and we're going to go to Create Settings File, and there is a default name. We can actually change that name if you want to change it. So we could create one like Site ABC Settings, and we can go ahead and hit Save. And it's been successfully saved to your device. So again, it's going to save it onto your mobile device, your smartphone, your iPad or tablet, whatever kind of device you're using the Symbio service and installation app on to connect with that Symbio 700 controller. It's going to save that file onto that device. So we've got that file created. We want to use it. We want to load it back up. We're going to go to the next unit here, and we're going to get it loaded up there so we can move along with our setup process. So again, go back into Manage Settings. Now we're going to go to Load Settings, and we're going to find our settings file. And there we go. We've got Site ABC Settings right there. One thing I'll point out is that you will potentially have multiple settings files on your device. So here's a factory default 01. Here's a one that I called startup settings. Here's a startup setting. Here's a startup setting 01. So as you can see, I've got several different settings files on here. So one thing you'll just want to make note of is just, come up with a naming convention, or come up with a setup or a naming convention that works for you, that you can keep them all separate. Maybe you're going to name them by the site name or something like that, just so you can keep them straight. I'm going to go ahead and use Site ABC Settings. I'm going to click the check mark, and I'm going to go ahead and I can hit the green load button. Before I do that, point out a couple other things. If I come down here and I hit View Details, there's a little green arrow next to it. I'm going to go ahead and hit that. That actually allows me to look at what's in the settings file. How are things set up? What is the arbitration method? What are those set point high and low limits? It's 80 and 68. Supply fan is cycling. Yep, that I can go through here and look and say, yep, this is how my unit needs to be set up. This is correct. Before I load something in there and then maybe have to go change it later, I can at least verify it. So go ahead and hit back on that. Another thing I'd like to point out, you see that we've got this Site ABC Settings checked. The Edit button in the upper right has highlighted green. I can actually go in there, and now I see a list, and this is how you can go in and you can actually manage some of these files. So maybe I don't want this startup setting file. I can actually hit the little red trash can, and are you sure you want to delete it? If you're sure, go ahead and hit proceed. Zach's #1 rule dealing with controls: when in doubt, cancel out. So if you're not sure, just hit cancel and it takes you right back to where you were. But I actually do want to delete that file, so I'm going to hit proceed, and it tells me that it deleted. It kind of flashed there quick, but it deleted that file, and we'll notice that we don't see that anymore in our list. All right, so just a couple little things there on managing those, but we want to go ahead and get this settings file loaded into the controller. So I've got it checked. I'm going to hit the big green bar that says load there, and it tells me that settings, site ABC settings, is successfully loaded into the device. So there we go. So we've created the settings file. We talked a little bit about what a settings file is and how we could use it. And then we went ahead and loaded it into the controller. And we also looked at, just a little bit of if I want to delete this file, or how do I see what's in the file? I use that view details, and I can view the details of that settings file that I have created on my device. So a couple different things we can do. And again, that's all under manage settings and create or load, depending on what you're looking to do. Hope you've enjoyed this quick video on the settings file. Be sure to like and subscribe to make sure you can keep up to date on more content as we make it available.